Hi friends, it is time for another story time, and today we're talking about the time that I fell into the Hudson River. Fell, got pushed, same thing. So a few years ago, and by a few I mean a few, probably like 5-6 years ago now? Has it been that long? Maybe? I don't know. But it was a couple years ago. Two of my cousins, a friend of mine, and myself all decided to go kayaking. It was the friend's idea. I'm looking at you, Judy. You know Judy, you know the one. The one that's been in old videos of mine. Her, yeah, she's the one. She's the one that caused all of this, by the way. This was her bright idea, okay?
You let that happen.
I'm a New Yorker, I should have known. So anyway, Judy decides it's a great idea for all of us to go kayaking in the Hudson River. Now, if you're from New York or ever been to New York, you know that the Hudson River's not, how do I say, the cleanest? It ain't clean, okay? So, she decided we should go kayaking. We all thought it was a fun idea. We were like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's not a problem. I know how to swim, I'm good. I don't think I'm gonna fall in. None of us think we're gonna fall in. It's gonna be fine, we're in boats, you know? It's gonna be a fun time. We don't have to touch the dirty Hudson water. Foreshadowing! So, we get there, they tell us what we need to do, you know, they tell us how we need to move our bodies while we're kayaking. They put life jackets on us just to be safe, because, you know, the Hudson River is still a river and it's very strong. And they're like, you know, just in case you fall in. We don't think anyone's gonna fall in, but just in case you fall in. So, here we are, getting into the boats. I'm nervous because I'm like, I don't know how deep the Hudson is, you know. I've never put two and two together. I never really thought about that. I'm like, you don't see the bottom, that's all I know. I don't know how deep it goes. I know actual ships go in there. That's what I know. So I'm like, it has to be like ship deep. It has to be deep enough that ships can go in there and not like crash or something. I don't know. What I do know, right? What I do know is that there are legends of what's under the Hudson River. Things that go from like common sense things to like a sunken submarine, which I believe is actually true. And then a dead giraffe, which is also apparently true. Apparently a circus back in the day had a giraffe. They didn't want to pay for the body's disposal, so they just like, in the middle of the night, yeeted the giraffe into the Hudson. To this day, that giraffe is just down there in the waves, you know? But anyway, we're there, we're getting to the boat. I'm nervous. I'm there carefully sliding down, and the boat rocks. I'm like, Because again, yeah, I know how to swim, but no one wants to touch the water, okay? No one wants to touch the Hudson water. We all know it. So we start, and I'm going, and I'm actually going pretty well. I didn't expect that for me. I thought, I was like, I'll be in the back. I know it. No, I was in the lead. I was just like, I found my calling. I know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. You know, I swing around, I go kayak back to my cousins and my friend. I'm like, this is fun, I'm really enjoying this. I go back, start doing it again, take the lead again. And so we go, we have our fun. We're having a nice, wonderful time. The water's a little choppy and I'm like, this is kind of nice. I like the rocking, you know what I mean? It's just nice. And so it was like I think it was a 2 or 3 hour kayak thing that, you know, we go down the Hudson, then we have to come back up the Hudson to the same dock that we like departed from. So we made our roundabout, no issues whatsoever. We start coming back, no issues whatsoever. We're still having a nice time, it's still, you know, fun. Everyone's joking around. Everyone that was taking part of it was like, yeah, this is so much fun. Taking pictures, taking selfies and all this. And we're nearing the end. I see the dock right there. I'm probably like 150, 200 feet away from the dock. So I come to a full halt. And I wait, because I want my cousins and my friend to catch up with me. I'm like, I'll just wait here. And because of the waves, my boat starts to turn. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll just slowly turn and watch them as they come closer. That's not a problem. So the instructor comes from behind me and he's like, oh hey, your boat's turning. Let me help you. I'm like, nah, it's fine, I'm just waiting. And he goes and pushes the front of my kayak. And when he pushes it the wrong way. And so he doesn't push the kayak to like push me forward. No, he pushes the kayak and I completely topple over. Now, again, I say this water is absolutely filthy. Like, this is the water level. If you put your hand just like, you don't see your hand anymore. You ain't got a hand no more. There is no hand. That hand, if you have object permanence, that bitch is gone. She ain't there. So you don't want to be in this water, okay? It's wrong, it's disgusting. So, as I'm falling in, I feel the boat tipping over, and I'm like, oh no. Like, quick reaction, I clench everything. You know what I mean? I clench everything. Every orifice on my body is clenched. I'm like, my booty hole puckers, my booty hole like, my mouth like, my nose, I'm not letting anything in. I'm like, I don't want this water in me. I know. I fall in. I'm upset. I'm obviously soaked because I am deep in water. Like, I went completely under. What makes it even worse is that apparently when they put my life jacket on me, they didn't put it on correctly. So the life jacket, instead of like keeping me afloat, no. The life jacket decided to float on its own, so it's up here trying to smother me like a spouse trying to claim a fortune. Just like, you know, they said I can claim your life insurance if you stop breathing in the middle of the night. Good night, sweet prince. I'm like, no, the thing tried to smother me, so I'm like I'm literally fighting the life jacket, and then on top of it, I'm having to swim, and I'm having to swim with shoes on, which apparently is very difficult. I never thought of that. I never thought like, hey, swimming with shoes might be a little tough, but hey, now I know. I use my feet, I use my hands. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna use my hands. So I'm a very good swimmer, and the guy comes up to me, like, apparently he like started moving away, but like came back around, and he's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm looking at him like, I want to murder this man. I'm like, before I even think to respond, I'm like battling the life jacket, I'm pushing it down a little bit, I'm wiping my mouth and face of the Hudson water, and I'm like, no, I'm not okay. He's like, do you need help? I'm like, I can swim, but yes, I need help to get back into the boat. And so, we're struggling. There's no floor, okay? I don't know how deep the Hudson is, but it's over 6 feet deep. I can assure you of that. Again, it must be ship deep. Whatever ship deep is. So, I'm there trying to get back into my kayak, and I'm like, really struggling, you know? The guy's like trying to pull me. He's really just pulling the life jacket off of me. One of my cousins finally catch up, and he's like, yo, you okay? Do you need help? I'm like, no! You don't know how to swim, okay? If we go down together. I'm not dragging you into this. You think I want to go back home and tell Titi that, oh yeah, no, your son dead because he tried to save me? No! No. You keep going. I'll figure this out. My cousin boated away. After a few minutes of like struggling to get into the boat, I just look at the instructor. I'm like, do you think I can just like swim to the dock? Like, I know it's right there. And he's like, well, we drifted a bit away from the dock. I look back at the dock. Instead of being like 200 feet away, I'm more like 700-800 feet away now. And I'm like, I can still do that. I'm still swimming along. I'm swimming against the current. The current's coming this way. I'm literally swimming against the current, and I'm keeping up. And he's like, no, you don't. I can't allow that. I'm like, well, I don't think we have a choice. He finally helps me, like, pull me in. I like hop up. He pulls me in finally, and I get into the kayak. Issue is, once I'm in the kayak, the dude doesn't stop pulling. So now, I fall over the boat the other way. Now I've fallen into the Hudson. Well, rather, this man has caused me to fall into the Hudson twice now. 2 times. So I'm extremely upset at this point. Like, you don't understand the anger I have for this man at this point. I'm there just looking at him like, if I get out of this alive, you you're gonna die. And I'm just there like treading water, trying to figure out just like, do I want to just like say screw it, I'm not listening to you, I'm gonna go swim to the dock, or am I gonna like try to get into this kayak again? All of a sudden, I feel something, this is my leg, I feel something against my leg. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't a fish. That was something else. That didn't feel like any fish I know. So I struggle super hard to get back into the kayak. I get into the kayak a lot faster than the first time because, let's be real, I don't want to be in the water with whatever the heck brushed up against my leg. And I sit there in the kayak for a minute, huffing and puffing. By that point, literally everyone has gotten to the dock. I'm the last one. I was first. In a group of like 30 people, I was first and now I'm last. This is some blue shell in Mario Kart kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, you're right there at the end, someone throws a blue shell and like 19 people pass you. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm there, just silently paddling, defeated. I want the day to be done. I'm sopping wet with dirty Hudson water. I don't want to think about today. I want today to be done. I want to be over with. I had a good time. Now it's ruined thanks to Tom over here. I still remember his name. And he's like quietly kayaking next to me. He knows what he did. He knows what he did. And I'm quietly kayaking. Then we're getting closer to the dock. And he tries to start making small talk with me because I guess he feels bad about what he did to me twice. And so I'm just there. At this point, he starts talking about a game that came out ages ago, but now it just came out on the PS4, so it's new to him. He's like, have you ever played The Last of Us? And I'm like, yes, I played it when it was first on the PS3 years ago. And he's like, that's a pretty dope game. I'm like, yes it is, Tom. Yes it is. Frustrated beyond all belief, but I'm not gonna attack this man. Not today, okay? I just kayak quietly. I get to the dock, and my cousins and my friend are there like, what happened? I was like, heated. I tell them what happened, and they're like, oh. And I apparently, like, because I said it there, I guess other people heard and people were laughing. Some people like, oh my god, are you okay? And so I'm just done with the day. I didn't bring a change of clothes or anything like that. That's on me. That's my fault. I have to go through Manhattan sopping with dirty Hudson juice, okay? That's my fault, partially. But no one told him to knock me in twice. Tom! So I'm there sopping, just completely sopping. And we go out, they're like, I'm hungry. Are you hungry? Yeah, that works up an appetite. I'm just there like, I guess. So we decided we were gonna go to a restaurant afterward, but because I was like sopping wet with dirty Hudson juice, we decided on Burger Shack in a park. So I could sit on a bench and sorrowfully like dry off. So we had to take a bus to the place that had the Burger Shack, and the whole time people were just looking at me so confused, like, it didn't rain today. Why is this boy literally dripping? What happened to him? You know, if you've ever been in a city that has a bus and you have that one guy that gets on the bus and you're like, what is his story? I was that guy for once in my life. I didn't like it. So we get off. I'm just there, left a puddle in the bus, you know? Again, not my fault. And we get out. I'm just sitting at the bench defeated. My cousin's like, I'm gonna go order for you. I'm like, thank you, you saint. And so we're there talking, joking and all that, but still, like, I'm still feeling it, you know, I'm a wave of emotions, you know, like the waves in the Hudson that I fell in. You know, I'm joking about it. I'm feeling some type of way against Tom. And the whole time I'm like, do you think I'm gonna become a mutant? Like, is this my Spider-Man origin story? Like, am I gonna mutate now? Am I gonna grow an extra arm? Am I gonna like be able to melt now into a puddle like those kids in the old Capri Sun commercials? You know the ones I'm talking about. And we're there laughing and all that. So I have to go home like this. Again, partially my fault. I should have thought to bring a change of clothes. But again, I was thinking, I'm gonna be safe in a boat, so I'm not gonna get wet. At most I might get a little splash, but I'll dry off fast. No. I came home sopping. That was what I was going to think was my last time kayaking. However, a couple years later, I want to say 2 or 3 years later, same friend, Judy, thanks Judy, decides, hey, you guys want to go kayaking again? One cousin was like, nah, not after what happened to Johnny. So this time it was just Judy, one cousin, and me. And we go there. Apparently she got the same place. She went to the same place. And I'm like, I recognize this place. Judy, why are we here? And she's like, Groupon. That's why. And so I go in, I'm nervous, and we see like the same instructors that were there a couple years ago. However, Tom's not there. So I get the bright idea to ask them, I'm like, hey, what happened to Tom? And they were like, oh, we had to let Tom go. There was a bit of an incident a couple years ago. I'm like, what kind of incident? They're like, oh, he knocked someone into the river. I was like, no, he knocked someone into the river twice. It was me! 'Twas I that fell in the river thanks to Tom. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't want him to lose his job. I do feel guilty about it, but it's also really funny to be like, oh, come back years later and be like, oh, there was an incident. And be like, oh wait, no, I was the incident. Look at that. So yeah, that was the time I fell in the Hudson River, or rather was pushed in the Hudson River by Tom. Thanks, Tom. Honestly, I could have died if I wasn't a good swimmer, because that life jacket did nothing but try to smother me. I had to literally battle it to swim. So yeah, I could have died that day. Again, thanks, Tom. But yeah, that was the time that I fell in the Hudson. I hope you guys enjoy listening to this because I really enjoy telling it. It's a bit traumatic to me, but it's also really funny to talk about. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and bing bong the ding dong down below to be alerted to whenever I make a new video. Because look at that, I'm trying again, okay? The medical situation is kind of being handled at the moment. I mean, I'm not afraid to wear short sleeve shirts anymore, and I can show my neck again, so that there's that. So, it's being worked on. But until next time, bye! Could have died.